What is going on, Covenant fam? So I'm getting ready to get rolling. Haven't started yet. As you can see, my MPH is 0. I found my holder. If you guys can see that, it's my phone holder, and it goes on these bars that are bendable, and it goes all the way up, and it hangs around my neck. So I don't know if you guys can see that it hangs and droops around my neck. So my phone will be stationary in front of me, just so that you guys are witness to that. And I'm placing it in the holder now. And this is the view that you guys will have for speed and all that other stuff. And you guys will be able to see the dash as those little annoying notices pop up. If you see the camera doing this or that or whatever, I'm adjusting the bar. So it's still not, movement from me holding the phone. It's in the holder. It's just making adjustments to the bar, because when I go on like bumps and stuff, you'll see that the camera will do this. So just so that you guys know, I'm letting you know now, it's not me, I promise. And that was more or less for Covenant, so that they're not like, oh, you were holding your phone. No, actually I wasn't. You won't see anytime I move, because it hangs around my neck, so it's not like in a firm position, but it still does its job. It's just gonna, weeble wobble, if that makes sense. So here I am, hands free still. See, both hands, not touching nothing. So alright, and here we go. I am getting ready to roll. So normally you'll see something pop up when there's another truck in front of me, or a collision warning type of thing. You'll see that it'll pop up and tell me, oh, son of a gun. Hold on. Normally, I don't do this, just for my Covenant people, but this is an emergency, and I am on the on-ramp, which is better than an off ramp, but I have to get this bottle that is rolled under my feet. And it's qualified as an emergency for me because I'd rather take a couple of seconds and get it than to have it roll under one of my pedals. So you can come for me if you want to, but I feel justified in it. And here we go. Alright. Now I can roll, not have to worry about having a final destination moment and have a bottle run underneath one of my pedals and just be completely screwed, right? Because that would really suck. Alright. Blinker on. This is a short merging ramp. So, here we go, guys. I'm so excited. I'm able to show you guys this stuff again. So, I'm going to get up to at least like 60 miles per hour. And then I'm going to hit my cruise control, and that way it doesn't struggle. You know, you don't want to like get going and be like in your 20 or 30 miles per hour and then you hit cruise control and it's got to jump up all the way into the 60s. So because we have 64 on the pedal, I usually do like 60, maybe 62 before I hit the pedal. Hit the cruise control. So here should be a perfect example. My cruise control is set for 68. Is that better for you guys to see it? So my cruise control bottom left is set for 68, but I'm only going 60, and that's because I have this camper in front of me, which is slowing my truck down. See the emergency brake kick on? Not emergency brake. Oh my god, the Jake brake. I can't think right now. I'm just waking up, so excuse my bush brain. So each time that you're in cruise control and you have an object in front of you, like so, I'm leaning back, so that's why my camera can go upward. But it's gonna automatically slow the truck down, and it's gonna maintain a speed that's good enough for that distance. So I'm gonna switch lanes now, and you'll see that my speed will start to increase. So I'm already back at 59, 60, etc. And I'm slowly gaining on those campers or those trailers, but we're starting to go on an incline. And you know, our trucks, they have power, but they don't have a lot of power, and we're not even heavy. I think we're like maybe 21 or 22,000 pounds, give or take. So it's not even really that heavy. So I'm passing the trailer now. I'm at 66. Sorry for the shakies, guys. It's bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. And another truck pulling a trailer, like the pickup trucks. Okay, so I'm at 68, my cruise control max. I am clear to get back over, so I am doing so. Alright, I am fully in the lane, and I can continue with my 68. for those that get super dizzy. My phone is bouncy all over the place. So the big 12 in the right corner at the bottom is going to be your gears that you're in. Okay. And then your cruise control is what's on the left. The bottom blank space underneath your cruise control is going to be where you can see your distance. When you're coming up to a vehicle, it'll pop up, some numbers, 3-digit numbers, and it'll start counting down depending on, how close you are to the vehicle or the object in front of you. And then on the bottom right corner is the time that is based out of chat. And then of course you've got your degrees, you've got your miles per hour, that's the big bold numbers, and then you've got your mileage down on the bottom right corner. And for those of you that are skeptical, we get miles. I mean, we're on a dedicated, my co-driver and I, so our miles are probably not as high as some of the others because our miles are the same every week, unless they reroute us to go through like other states due to weather or huge major accident, something like that is blocking our normal route. But our miles are set. We get paid the same miles every week. But when we got this truck, it only had 114 miles on it, or 142 miles on it. I know it was one something. I know it had a 4 in there, so it was either 114 miles or 142 miles. But point being, it was 114 miles. But the point being is, since we've had this truck and we got it back in, I'd have to go back in my videos to find when we got our truck. I'd have to go back in our videos to find out what month we got our truck, but we're already at over 60,000 miles. So we ran those, just us having the truck. So there's miles to gain out here. You can, get miles. There's loads and things like that. It just depends on, what freight is looking like and what type of account you're on and stuff like that. So just a FYI, heads up. But that's proof right there. So going from 114 miles to over 60,000 miles that we have ran together in this truck. So the miles are there. If we were running OTR, we would have way more miles than this. We'd probably be like somewhere in the 80,000 miles, or the 110,000 miles like already put on the truck. We run these trucks hard. So just keep that in mind. And I think I missed an opportunity to tell you guys about the E that pops up where the gear number is. So how it has a 12. When the truck goes into coasting mode, when it reaches like a point to where it doesn't need to work as hard, like the engine, it's like basically going into neutral, and a big E as in Edward will pop up right there, and you'll hear the engine somewhat go quieter because it's not like pushing the pistons and going loud, and the transmission, like, I don't want to say revving the gears, but it's not like struggling to maintain that gear, if that makes sense. So when it goes into coasting, it's like basically being in neutral, going downhill, going wee. And this is fun. But you have to be careful with that, because even though you have cruise control on, your number will still climb for your miles per hour. So cruise control is set at a max speed at 68, meaning that when it's on flat ground, it's not going to increase, or even going up an incline, it's not going to increase. Now, if you're going up an incline, it will decrease your miles per hour, but your cruise control will stay at 68 because that's what you set it to be. The bad thing about that is if you're on a steep incline, I mean, if you can really look and it looks like it's really high up there and you're going up this major hill, I recommend you take the truck out of cruise control. Do not let your truck struggle uphill in a set cruise control setting, because your truck is going to struggle so hard to maintain that speed. So basically, with your truck being in cruise control, you're telling the engine and the transmission they have to keep that speed. They have to stay at 68, right? So if you're going up an incline and you're carrying like a heavy load, your engine is going to struggle. Imagine like wearing a cape. This is just an example. Imagine wearing a cape and you're trying to run away and someone's holding your cape and you can't go anywhere. It's going to be tight on your throat and you're going to struggle to like lean forward and go, and you're not really going to be going anywhere. That's basically what you're asking your engine and your transmission to do for you. You're trying to maintain 68 miles per hour going up a steep incline. You're going to like trash your engine and your transmission for trying to keep up that speed that you're telling it to do. So with us being in automatics, it's going to drop your speed and your gears, even though you have it set for 68, but it's still a struggle for the truck, because now you've got three different things going on. You've got it in a gear that it's trying to, catch that gear, and you've got you trying to keep it at 68 and your truck is struggling and it can't do it. So it's got to drop to a speed that it can actually get up there. So I'm losing my speed right now, guys, because I have a camper in front of me. These campers have been out like all day. So see the number in the bottom left? It says 374 feet. So that's how far I am from the camper in front of me. So it's going to maintain that 65. Well, now I'm going down a little downgrade thing, so it's going faster. Now the Jake brake just kicked on. You see that? So when you have cruise control on, your Jake brake will automatically kick on for you. This is why it is bad to use it in bad weather. So if it's like really wet and the roads are slick, if there's ice, if there's slush, if there's snow, and you're in cruise control and you just rolling right along, and then something in front of you ends up, coming into your radar telling you that, you've got this car that's only like 300 feet in front of you, your engine brake is going to kick on, and it does not do well for your tractor and your trailer tires. So what the engine brake does, it slows down your engine and your transmission. That is your engine braking you. That has nothing to do with your wheels, your axles, your brake chambers, nothing like that. So if your truck starts to brake, what is your trailer going to do? It's going to slide. So that's the fastest and easiest way to jackknife your truck. And that's why we're told that when it's windy, when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's sleet, black ice, anything that is going to make your tires spin, and not, have control or whichever, then you're gonna like slide that trailer forward or to the side, however you want to look at it, and then you're gonna be in a whole situation, right? It's the same thing as if you didn't have those things on and you don't have a safe following distance, and a truck in front of you decides to brake, or an animal runs out in front of you and you slam on your brakes in any of those conditions, you're also going to lock up your brakes, your ABS, and all that, and your trailer is going to slide. Now, it could slide either way, either to the left or to the right, but the point is that it will slide and you will be in a situation yet again. So that's why following distance is so important. That's why not using your cruise control in adverse conditions, because you're going to make things a whole lot worse than you just controlling the truck within those conditions. It's the same thing if it's super windy and you're lightly loaded. So just keep that in mind. But going back to the engine struggling, so you're basically confusing your engine and your transmission when you're going up a steep incline, right? So make sure that you remove your cruise control, and you're using the pedal to go uphill. The gears will still change automatically on their own. Now, if you're super heavy and you're on a steep incline, your truck will still drop its gears and its speed, even though you're pushing on the pedal, but at least it's staying within that gear, if that makes sense, because your pedal can only go so far, right? And it's manual, so it's not like just the truck working by itself. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. And then we're able to downshift, but it only works for so long, and then the automatic system will kick back in again. So it's only to like get your truck to not struggle as bad, but you are to let your truck find its gear, that it'll be able to pull you up that incline with as much ease as possible. I'm going up an incline right now, so I'm canceling my cruise control and I'm on the pedal and it's still dropping. See? Now my 12 just went to an 11. It went to a lower gear because the lower gears are like more like easy street. I don't know if you guys remember like riding a bike, and like the mountain bikes, and it comes with the gears and stuff, right? So the lower the gear, the easier it was to turn the pedal, right? It was super easy. But if you put it on like 5th gear, then it'll be like super hard to like turn that pedal, and you had to get some momentum to get going, right? Cruise control back on. So you have to think of it like that. So the lower the gear, the easier it is for your vehicle or your bike or your car to make it up an incline, right? Because you're putting it in a lower gear to where it makes it easier for it to get that gear, right? But if you start hearing like a really loud like that means that you're in too low of a gear and your engine is trying to go way faster than that. So this is why you have to know like how your truck sounds when it's struggling, when it's fine, all that stuff. So I wish there were a way for me to explain to you guys the sounds that your truck will make depending on what gear and stuff it's in. So it's kind of hard to do that. And this is why I wanted to show you guys, because showing you is a whole lot more simple than me explaining it to you. because it's like your brain is trying to grasp like what I'm talking about, and it's confusing, or it can be confusing. So I am free rolling now. Everything's fine. I am kind of going on this little downgrade from that upgrade that I had to take out of cruise control, but I'm still holding at 68 cruise control max speed, coming around this bend. So you won't your truck won't always gain speed on a downgrade, especially if it's not, too steep going down. You won't always catch speed like that. So we're just gonna have to play it out and see what happens. But I do want to show you guys like upgrades and downgrades and all that stuff. That one that I took it out of cruise control was just a small one, but my truck was still struggling, so I wasn't just gonna let it struggle. And plus, that gave me the perfect example for you guys to check out. So that odometer there is the RPMs for your transmission, like when your truck is changing gears and things like that. That needle will move. If you're steady at a pace, it'll stay stuck like that. Even though it's not stuck, it's just staying in the place that it needs to be in. And it'll move like periodically depending on if you're going uphill, downhill, if you're on the pedal, if you're not on the pedal, type of thing. And then the bottom left is your oil gauge. So it typically sits at 50, at least for our trucks it does. Some it'll sit at 70, or somewhere between 50 and 70. It just depends. Obviously that gauge there is our fueling gauge. So I'm actually on my way to a fuel stop now, and I'll be fueling there to fill her back up. But my co-driver and I typically don't let it get less than half a tank. Sometimes it varies between half and that little stick right on the left, that little line. So sometimes we'll be in between that, or like right at the small line on the left. But we typically try to keep it at least at half or a little bit above half. Anything that get us at least 60 gallons. Not only does it give us shower credits, but it also gives us points, a fair amount of points. And we don't have to spend a lot of time at the fueling stop either, because we're not going from filling her up, all the way from empty all the way to full. So it like basically cuts our time in half. So you'll see right here, my speed's gonna drop. I have a minivan that just got on the interstate. All right, and then it's gonna pick speed back up. It's not gonna pick it up much because I have another semi that's in front of me that's going slower than I am. So it's probably gonna hold between 65 and 66. See, 367. It just went from 371 to 367. Now 364, 361. I'm gaining on him or her. So it's time for me to safely lane change and get my speed back up. And then when I get past it, then I'll be able to get back in the right lane. So we typically fuel at a half because we don't like to spend a lot of time at our fueling stations. We'll be able to knock it out. It takes less time to fuel half of the tank than it takes to fuel the full tank. And on top of that, once we fuel, we depending on which location we're at, because some of our fueling stops will take our 30 at. So we have, because we're dedicated, we have certain lanes that, certain stops that will take our 30-minute breaks at. So like, I'm gonna fuel in a little bit, but I'm not gonna stay there. I'm gonna leave and not take my 30 there, and take my 30 like a couple more hours down the road, maybe like 2.5, 3 hours down the road, and then I'll take my 30. But like, when we switch out sometimes in Little Rock, like, she will fuel, and then she'll kind of get something to eat. It doesn't usually take 30 minutes for her to eat. She, like, if I'm already on my time, or let's say like I'm fueling or something like that, it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So sometimes when we fuel and it's still within our time frame, we will fuel and then we'll take our 30-minute break after fueling. Oh, perfect example. So like, when I go to Kingman, I'll fuel first and then I'll take my 30-minute break, because I drive from California going into Kingman, and by the time I get there, I have like 4.5 hours left on my first 8-hour clock. So I'll take my 30 after fueling and get it over with, and then I continue on driving for the rest of my clock. And then when it's time, when she gets her time back, then we'll switch out. So that's just an example, like, just to kill two birds with one stone, basically. But it's like, basically we spend probably about 45 minutes to an hour, like, if we were to take our 30 and fuel for like half of our fueling. So it's like 15 minutes plus 30 minutes for a break. Yeah, about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how busy the truck stop is, etc., etc. And then we'll get rolling again. So it's just a good rule of thumb to fuel at a half. It's better for you as far as time wise, but it's also better for the company because it's more cost effective. So let's say that it takes $800 to fill the tank from empty to full. So if you fuel at every half, then you're only spending about $400. So you just save the company like $400 because you're fueling at every half instead of, fueling like all the way. So it doesn't seem like much to most people, but it is. And that's just how we do it. And like I said, it benefits both us and the company. It benefits the company financially, and it benefits us time-wise, because we're not there like wasting all this time like fueling and all this stuff, because it does take a long time. And plus, it's like better for other drivers because you're not hogging the fueling station and like sitting there forever trying to fuel $800 worth of fuel, and like you're completely empty and it's taking forever. So it's just better all around for everyone involved to just be considerate. Consideration can go a long way in this industry if you let it, but most people are selfish and have that it's all about me and I was here first type of mentality, and that's not good in my opinion. I don't like when people are like that. But anyway, so that's on fueling. That gauge down there on the left is the air pressure. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you about the blue stick on the fueling one. So the blue stick is your DEF, your DEF, your DEF fluid, and that you fuel, like when you stop for fuel, it lasts a bit longer than your fuel, obviously, because our fuel is already at a half and our DEF is barely like getting to like 7/8 or something. I think that's what that measurement is for that line. So when I stop right now, I'm gonna top off both. I always top off both, even if like the DEF is still, you know, kind of like towards the full stick, like the full needle. So I just top it off. It usually takes like $3, $5, and again, you're saving the company money because you're not waiting for it to get completely empty and then filling up $40 or $50 worth. It's only a few dollars. So I do that too, and typically always top off both of them when I'm fueling. So back to this little gauge down here on the right, but the very first one is your air pressure. So the white one is your primary and the blue one is your secondary. And I'm gonna have to stop and check my emergency line because it shouldn't look like that. Even though it's still above the 100, it's because I'm rolling, so the air is constantly like flowing in. But if I were to stop, like my red e-brake will probably pop inside the truck. So see how it just moved? And now it's like even with the primary, but something doesn't feel right to me because it shouldn't have been like that. And I think it was like that for a while since I started talking about the gauges. So I'm still going to check it out just in case. These are things that you need to kind of pay attention to because you don't need any kind of air leaks or any problems like that. And then the one next to our air gauges, the one all the way to the right, is our water level for our radiator. And that one usually sits just below the 200 mark. Sometimes it's like in the middle of the 100 and the 200 mark, but that's typically like where it sits. When it starts to get in the red, you're in the danger zone, so it's best to like get that checked out and stuff. Figure out why. See, that was the brake that just went on super hard. I have a CR England truck that's in front of me, and I believe they're governed at 62. So we're always going to come up on them. They're either governed at 62 or 65. I can't fully remember. I know CRST is 62 or 63. So it's a bit difficult to be behind them because it messes with our truck and our gauges, like our numbers, and like hits the brakes and all that stuff automatically. And then of course the top right gauge up there is your miles per hour. So even though like you have it here digitally, we also have it in analog. This is just the way that Lily and I like to keep our gauges. So you don't have to keep it like this. You can keep it on a different setting. Hold on, I got a semi that's on the right trying to pass me, but I'm already passing CR England, and then I have another truck behind me that's in my behind, basically, like in my butt, trying to get me to go faster. See, this is how I know that other trucks don't know like that, like what companies are governed and which ones aren't. Like, obviously, if we're not going faster, then that means that we can't go faster. But these trucks out here that go super fast and impatient, cutting off other trucks, they're the ones that typically get into wrecks. So let me just do my thing and get out the way and let them pass and do what they have to do. So anyway, you don't have to leave it on your miles per hour to where it shows digitally. You can also change it, so you can put it like this, and you can leave it. I've seen drivers that have it like this on their dash, and then I've seen them like turn their dash completely off, like at least the center part of it, but they use their analog and like their regular dials and stuff. So it's a UPS truck. Rude. But I like looking at my miles per hour digitally, even though like I can read analog. I just like looking at it digitally. And all freight was the one that was in my booty. Okay. Is there a point to this? So I just got back over in the left lane because UPS decided to get in front of me and then slow down, kind of like brake checking without hitting his brakes, because he thinks that I was going slow on purpose. And that's what's irritating about this industry, is it's now become competition, and my truck is faster than yours, and you suck, your company sucks, this sucks, that sucks, mine is better, I'm greater than you. So there is no like unity out here. There's no like understanding for us as drivers. We literally do the same thing, we just have a different name on our truck. Like, it's dumb. So just be careful out here, you guys, because you will run into drivers like this. I'm just waiting for him to put distance between me and him, so that way I can get back over. Good enough, because I'm still at 68 and I'm behind him again. So like I said, drivers like that just have nothing else better to do, and they just want to be jerks, and they wonder why tractor trailers crash into each other and all this stuff. It's because drivers like that. Like, there was no reason for him to get in front of me and let off his accelerator or put his cruise control down so that way it would slow my truck down. Like, I didn't go slow in front of you on purpose, but I wasn't going to stay behind CR England either. So hopefully one of these times I'll be able to put my phone stationary and film for quite a while, and you guys can see the interaction of the road and other vehicles. It's just that for some reason, every time I'm filming, like, nothing exciting like that ever really happens. I don't want to call it exciting because it's dangerous, but nothing like shocking, happens like that. It's always like one of those things that when you're paying attention, everything is just kind of like the same, dull and boring. And then when you're not paying attention, it's like, dang, you missed it. And it's like, what I miss? So it's like one of those things. So every time like I put my camera or something and, you know, nothing happens, and I've got video footage of basically empty nothing. And then it's times to where my camera's focused somewhere else and like everybody's acting like a jerk. So I guess it just depends. I'm now passing a CFI. So I hope you guys are getting a lot of information out of this video. I try to do my best to explain things, certain things that that seem like it would be difficult to understand if I were to just talk about it instead of showing you. So I hope it's something that you guys are like, oh, that's what she was talking about, or yeah, that makes sense now that I can see it. Would like to see or me to talk about that I haven't touched on yet, questions you may have that's burning inside of you, you guys know to just drop it in the comments and stuff like that. Basically how cruise control and all that stuff works, and our speed when it drops, when it picks up, and then when I'm heading back towards California, I will show you guys like the downgrades, the upgrades in like real time, so that you guys will be able to see, because there are more hills and upgrades and downgrades. I mean, inclines and downgrades going more on the west coast, because like the mountain range areas and stuff, like the first half of like New Mexico and like in Arizona and the back end of California. So there's a lot of like hills and mountains and valleys and all this stuff. So I'll be able to show you guys those on my way back into California, and you guys will be able to see the speed of the truck and all this other stuff. Covenant, don't come for me, because that will be an educational video. I don't need y'all to be like, oh, you were speeding. So I'm just gonna show them and then back off and all that other stuff. So just so you know. I'm trying to think of what else I can show you guys in relation to this. I really wanted to show you guys like what it looks like when it's like following distance or collision warning or speeding. We're going too fast. Yeah, I can't think of anything else as of right now, but I know it's out there. spraying. I just don't want to hold you guys up any longer than I already have. My videos are pretty lengthy, and I hope it's because I'm filling it with all the necessary information you guys need to know. So I guess on that note, I will say until next time, guys, bye.